So this is my pedal board right now in late 2019, which I use to play praise and worship at First Family Church in Amarillo, Texas. And the last three pedals that I've came in possession of are all overdrives. And these are pretty much most 95% of what I'm using lately. I've got the Tim, the black big box amp 11 by Lovepedal, and also the vintage modern by Lovepedal, which I guess a lot of guys might think that they wouldn't use quite as much gain as the vintage modern has in a church setting. I don't know if I'm different or whatever, but I use it all the time. But anyways, this is just a real quick look at kind of how I use them. Most of my gain stuff goes from clean to dirtier, from right to left, except for this amp tweaker fuzz I've got, which is in loop 1, and then also a compressor down there. But then I've got a clean boost. It's not really all that clean, actually. It can get pretty hot, but it's the Allspark by Tone City, which is, as I understand it, it's like the exotic, help me out here, EP booster. And then I've got a Soul Food, which is the next pedal to be upgraded. And I'm looking at a little bit better clone circuit. And then on the end here also is the Hustle Drive by Moore. And that's the last, cheapest, probably least quality pedal on the board. But it actually sounds pretty good, and I use it every now and then. I used to use it constantly. But anyways, most of what I'm using, like I said, are these three pedals right here. And the thing I love about a good quality overdrive pedal like this is how dynamic it is. And I've got the main overdrive from the Tim set to be pretty clean. This is a G&L ASAT tribute going into an Ignator Rebel 30, which has been upgraded with the tubes, and the transformer has all been upgraded. On the clean channel, and then the Tim is pretty clean, depending on how I pick with it. And that's on the neck pickup. If I put it on the bridge pickup and dig in a little bit, it's definitely pushed a little bit more. And I do have kind of a little bit of a tape delay and a room reverb right now from the arena on. And then basically, no matter which pickup I'm on, my pick dynamics will determine, how hard that's going to hit, and I'll use that for a clean sound. Even with the bridge, if I want something, kind of a picking sound that'll stand out. But then what I love is when I step on that boost. It's pretty great. So the next one I have here is the Big Box Amp 11. Most of the time I'm using it on the boost side, which I'm told that this is, I guess this is supposed to be the COT 50. Sometimes I run the level at about 9 o'clock, a little bit lower, but right now I've got it set to right around 10 o'clock, and this is what it sounds like. It's a lot darker than the Tim. That's the bridge. That's the neck pickup. Here's the bridge. It breaks up a lot faster than the Tim does, even with the boost on, if you compare them. So that side of the Amp 11 by itself doesn't have as much bottom end as the Tim with the boost on, but it does feel a little bit more saturated and a little bit more gain. So like I said, I kind of have them to go in order, gain-wise from right to left. But then I'll switch to the other side of Amp 11, and it's definitely got more gain. It's actually right now is a little bit hotter. It's got its own separate volume though. And I'm not running the gain very hot. You can see the gain is actually at about 9 o'clock. And then together. It's pretty fat. So then the vintage modern, I guess the idea is it's a vintage take on a Marshall type amp and a more modern take on a Marshall type amp. This, I also originally thought that this side was based off of the Cot 50 from listening to Sebastian Falvo on YouTube, which does great videos, demo videos of Lovepedal boxes. But when I talked to Lovepedal themselves, they said that this is a different beast entirely from the Cot 50 and the Purple Plexi, which is what I thought the modern side was based off of. Those were the exact words from Lovepedal. They said it was different, but I still think it's based on the same idea. The difference between the Cot 50 here is that it's got its own level and drive knob for this side. That's pretty hot, and it's definitely gainier than anything else I've done so far, but it doesn't have a lot of bass end, and it's a little pokey, which I think is kind of the idea behind the vintage side. The modern side, it's fuller and thicker in the lows, and it feels just a little bit more compressed. That's really hot, and that's with the bridge pickup. But then again, if I go to the neck, and depending on how I pick, you know, if you're light with it, it's still pretty clean. Both sides are just as dynamic. And I think the thing that I like about these two-sided overdrives is I could take any one of these three effects and get through an entire set, just using the two separately or together, and then depending on my picking, because I mean that'll be as clean as you want it to be. Anyways, you get the idea. Super dynamic, which is what I love about all of them. That's all I really got.